We are on our way to Namibia. We'll be flying from LA to Atlanta and then Atlanta to Cape Town. Then we'll be driving up the coast from Cape Town all the way to Namibia, exploring different places, trying a bunch of different food, and we're so excited to share this with you. So let's go. When we started planning this trip, I tried my best to find airlines that were cost effective but also had the fewest connections. And Delta was the winner, where we could fly from Burbank to Atlanta and then Atlanta to Cape Town, which is about a 10-hour flight, versus having to fly through Europe, down to Cape Town, then up to Namibia. So we decided fly to Cape Town and then we would drive from Cape Town up to Namibia. The flight was pretty uneventful. It's comfortable enough, flying economy internationally. The food was okay. For dinner, they had the option of either doing chicken or beef. I usually choose the chicken, and it was just like a stewed chicken with steamed vegetables and mashed potatoes, a white bean salad, and then a block of cheese and a brownie that was delicious. But overall, the flight was uneventful. I don't really sleep a whole lot when flying, so even for the international flight, I only slept like 30 minutes to an hour at a time. So lots of time just watching shows and playing games on my Switch, which I am so thankful that I brought. The following morning, they brought around breakfast, and it was these breakfast calzones, and I zoned out completely. I don't even remember what this tasted like. We had been flying for about 15 hours at this point. The flight time in total was 18 hours between plane shifts. So I was just so ready. I just wanted to land. We decided to stay in Boulders Beach, which is about 20 minutes north of Cape Town. It's a super easy Uber into the city, and the views are absolutely gorgeous, so highly, highly recommend. The next morning, I was feeling a bit more functional, so we popped in to Doodles Beachfront Cafe. They are great for breakfast and brunch. I know they do lunches and dinners as well, but we just stopped in for breakfast. Had a cappuccino and then also eggs and bacon with my all gold tomato sauce on the side. I missed it so much. Then we went down to the waterfront. This is crazy how much is expanded, but it's this bigger commercial area with shopping, food, entertainment, and they have this giant industrial building called the Watershed where they sell different crafts, and there's art installations as well as plenty of food options. We popped into Cooked, which is a cafe and deli. We got some carrot cake, which the best carrot cake. It was so moist and delicious. And then we also got some frozen cappuccinos. We're going to be drinking a lot of cappuccinos this trip, so just brace yourself. These were kind of like cappuccino slushies. After that, we popped into the Oceans Aquarium, which was a stunning space. They do so much for conservation, and fun fact, all of the sea turtles housed here are actually rescues, being rehabilitated and will be released back into the wild. Day 1 in Cape Town was amazing, so we were setting up for day 2. It was such a clear, beautiful day, a little bit windy, but we wanted to go visit Kirstenbosch, which Kirstenbosch is a giant botanical garden. They have these awesome walkways, and they also house an insane amount of different species. It's also one of the few botanical gardens in the world that focus specifically on indigenous species, so it was great. It's definitely a fun, relaxed day. This was such an incredible experience. I really wish we had more time because seeing all the people sit in the gardens, having picnics, and seeing all the critters just flying and running around, it was such an awesome experience, and I would love, love to go back. After Kirstenbosch, we stopped in at World of Birds in Hout Bay. This is one of the largest bird sanctuaries in South Africa, and they house and rehabilitate thousands and thousands of birds. Shout out to this little chicken, he was so cute. We had a fun time exploring, and after that we were on the road to drive up to Chapman's Peak. This was yet another unforgettable experience. Our big goal was to get to Boulders Beach. I wanted to see the penguins, but I loved everything that we were able to see along the way. We stopped in at Dunes in Hout Bay for a quick lunch, a really chill spot right by the beach, and I got some rooibos tea, love my rooibos tea, and then some fish and chips. Both delicious. And then we got back on the road to get to Boulders Beach. So Boulders Beach is a penguin sanctuary, and this was one of my bucket list items. This is actually one of the few natural penguin colonies where they come back every year. And it was so cute watching them play in the waves and interact with each other. I highly recommend it. The only thing I would suggest is coming earlier in the day because it was pretty crowded and felt rushed since we got there kind of late. We had such an incredible time in Cape Town, and that night we turned in a bit earlier because we were getting up super early the next morning to hit the road to Namibia. We hit the road bright and early, and we figured it made sense to divide the trip. First chunk would be Cape Town to Port Nolloth, and then the next chunk would be Port Nolloth to Kuibis in Namibia, which was our next destination. And it was so cool to see the South African countryside. We stopped at a couple of road stops, which Cardusi being the first one. They had really good iced rooibos tea as well as omelets and different snack options. And the view in that area was so cool. Like, there's really not a whole lot out there. It's pretty undeveloped, and seeing the mountain range and all the grassland is awesome. And then we were back on the road to make our way up to Port Nolloth. It's about a 7 to 8 hour journey. I think it took us about just over 8 hours because we stopped a couple of times to get from Cape Town to Port Nolloth. So all the way on the southern tip of South Africa to the northern. And this is an interesting town. This town almost looks a little bit abandoned, but it used to actually be a pretty big hotspot for diamond mining, specifically offshore diamond mining. So as you're driving through the town, you see a bunch of dots on the horizon. They're diamond mining boats. There's also diamond divers, so people who would charter boats dive to the bottom of the ocean and sift for diamonds. So it's pretty cool to see. These pipes are actually for diamond mining. They attach them to larger vessels and they just use it as like a vacuum cleaner to suck up the sediment and see if they can find any diamonds. Which also, fun fact, the diamonds that are out here actually didn't originate here. They washed down through the river nearby. But yeah, all those little boats are diamond boats. And then we made our way over to the Airbnb. The local realtor was super nice and found us a place to stay for the night since we were all pretty beat. It was pretty spooky. I wish I took more footage of the Airbnb itself. It was a massive, massive property, and we slept on like a second story, but you could see through to the first story through the wooden slats. It was a little freaky, but I'm sure if you're here for like a beach vacation, it has some charm to it, but I found it to be kind of spooky. But it was such a short stay, and it had utensils and living areas, dining areas, so definitely grateful that we found a space. The next morning, we were back on the road. It was finally time to get to Namibia. This bridge and river, in air quotes, this is technically the border. So we are crossing over from South Africa to Namibia. We weren't allowed to film here, but it was a pretty easy process. Then we stopped in at Oranjemund at Bean Tree Cafe just to get a little bit of something to eat. We went with an egg and cheese and bacon toasty and chips. It was so delicious. Oh, everything here was just so good. And then we went to the Spar to pick up a bit of groceries and snacks before going to my family's farm. I picked up Mirinda, which was such a nostalgic drink, and then also Sparletta Sparberry, which is like a berry soda. Oh, so good. And then we made our way over to the farm. We finally made it to the southern Karas region of Namibia. This is one of the drier zones, and it's very sparsely populated. So as you can see, giant open fields and skies. And at night, it was absolutely gorgeous to see all the stars. My dad gave us a little mini tour of the farm to go introduce us to his sheep, and it's awesome to see how they are just absolutely thriving. Our next stop was Biltong Plaas. This is a farm stall that's owned by my sister and her husband, and they run it. So if you do go visit, you'll definitely run into them. They have a shop where they sell different types of snacks, ice cream, ice, meat, and different biltong, drivwosh. Definitely get the chili bites. If you're gonna go, get the chili bites. They also have bathrooms and a seating area, so if you did want to grab a bite to eat, it's definitely there. It's located about 50 kilometers before Aus, so anyone driving that long road to Lüderitz, it's definitely worth stopping in. If you did have any questions, just let me know in the comments. We're happy to provide directions. If you are going to be in that area, if you are looking for a space to camp, of course, highly recommended because they're family, but they're also really cool people. And then we were able to watch the sunset. That was absolutely just gorgeous, stunning, before the next adventure. On the road again, we are making our way over to Lüderitz, which Lüderitz is on the coast of Namibia. It is a smaller town. We're going there to pick up a few things, but also just for the fun of it, just going on a little road trip excursion. I had to zoom in pretty far, but we saw wild horses, which is so crazy cool. Namibia actually does have a crazy population of wild horses, so you'll see them driving around. Lüderitz is a really old town, and it has a bunch of cool architecture, a good shopping spot, and it is definitely expanding a lot. So we just spent some time walking around and looking at all the different boats. We popped into the Desert Deli for lunch, which the nicest people, and this egg and cheese toasty and cappuccino again, was absolutely delicious. Then we made our way over to Kolmanskop, which is an abandoned mining village. This ghost town is fascinating for many reasons. So back in the early 1900s, a railway worker found a diamond and it sparked one of the biggest diamond rushes in southern Africa. At its peak, Kolmanskop was actually one of the wealthiest towns in Africa. It had a bunch of different amenities that were unheard of, like a hospital, a ballroom, casino, bowling alley, school, and even one of Africa's first X-ray stations. But the funny part in all of this is that the X-ray machine wasn't for medical use alone. It was actually used to stop miners from smuggling diamonds by swallowing them. But then after diamonds were discovered further south, residents started to abandon the town and the desert kind of just took over. The Preservation Society definitely did a lot to preserve what they could. So there's one home that's still standing that we're walking through right now. They even found a ledger of different items they would order for monthly deliveries, like tobacco or cotton or sugar. They ordered a lot of sugar, coffee, you name it. And they just lived out here, living their like super rich lives until one day they decided it just wasn't it. This is also one of the world's most photographed ghost towns because of the contrast, because you can see the heavy German colonial architecture, but then as you're walking through the more dilapidated spaces, you just see sand dunes inside homes and everything is just slowly getting buried. This area is still being used for mining. If you look out on the horizon, there's a lot of fences kind of bordering you in, and they're like, oh, you can't go past this point because there are still active mines in the area. It's just this town that's been abandoned. And just like that, it was time to say goodbye to the farm, which was so bittersweet, and time to get ready for the next leg of our trip. We got up really early the next morning to go to Swakopmund. So all the way from Kuibis to Swakopmund, which is on the coast of Namibia. Our first pit stop was at Solitaire, so this is a pretty notorious, if you're some adventurer, backpacker, camper, hiker, you've probably heard of Solitaire. So we stopped in here. They have an awesome bakery with a bunch of German baked goods and coffee and different food items. So we picked up a couple of things to try. The cappuccino again, and then chocolate chip cookies. They were kind of like shortbread, but absolutely delicious. And then it was time to say goodbye to Solitaire and get back on the road. It was pretty clear that we made it to the coast because there was a long line of palm trees and you could see a bunch of like beach homes and condos just dotted along the shoreline. And of course you could see the sea, which is probably the biggest giveaway in all of this. So we stayed in a condo through Airbnb and it was right next to the water. If you are looking for a place to stay in Swakopmund, just let me know in the comments and I'll leave the information because this place was awesome. Walking distance to a shopping mall so you could get groceries, clothes, whatever you needed. And we also ended up going to Truth Cafe, which is this really cute bakery coffee shop that was right near our condo and amazing. We had even more cappuccinos, a bacon, egg, and cheese omelet, and flapjacks with blueberry compote. And then after that, we went to the jetty just to walk up and down. It was pretty cold that day, and the ocean was restless, but it was really awesome to see all the views. For dinner, we stopped into the Tug Restaurant. It was an upper scale, highly recommended restaurant, and they definitely didn't disappoint. We started with a passion fruit lemonade. This was another staple for the trip. You have to try it if you're there. They also gave us fresh bread as well as an appetizer that was shrimp and cheese sauce served with grilled bread. So good. Then I had the grilled fish with prawn and then roasted potatoes on the side. Loved it here. Everything was delicious. The next morning was another driving day to go do some sightseeing. Our first stop was to get lunch at Probst Wil Cafe. It was a bakery cafe, true traditional German stop. They had a bunch of different baked goods and different menu items. So front is the bakery, the back is the restaurant. I got the chicken schnitzel with potato salad. Potato salad was bomb. It's like a warm potato bacon salad, another passion fruit lemonade, and then we went for another drive around the town. This giant white building actually has an insane history about being a brothel and now it's apartment buildings. It's crazy. And then as we were driving down the coast to Walvis Bay, we stopped in at a couple of spots. This was one where majority, if you're going on a catamaran cruise, it leaves from there. There's also a crazy population of flamingos and different wildlife. So we had a great time just walking around and looking at everything. As we were driving, we spotted this jackal with babies. There were little jackal cubs in a nest and they kept coming in and out. I wish I could get a better shot, but obviously didn't want to bother them. But so cool to see. They were adorable. Our next pause was Langstrand or Langstrand. This is definitely nostalgic for me. We used to go camping on this beach and there's a big tide pool that we used to go swimming in, which is completely overtaken now. I don't know if I would swim here. The water was freezing and there was a seal just playing in the water this entire time. I'm like, I think I saw a seal. And then sure enough, as I was scrubbing through the footage, I saw it, which was so awesome. The ocean here is mesmerizing. It's just, the waves are crazy, but absolutely beautiful. After walking around the mall in Walvis Bay for a while, we stopped in at Mugg Bean. This is like a coffee shop, bakery, and they're known for pretty elaborate desserts. The video doesn't do it justice. These cakes and muffins were huge. So we stopped in for a cappuccino, of course, a cappuccino, and then also a slice of cake, which this actually was just half a slice of cake, but both were absolutely delicious, delicious. And then we made our way back home. We started today at the beach, so there is a part just south of Swakopmund where it's like the super rocky terrain, but it's stunning. It is so gorgeous. And then once we walked around for a little while, we went over to Two Beards Roastery. So Two Beards you'll see everywhere in South Africa and Namibia. It's a pretty popular coffee roasting company, and so delicious. So this is one of their roasteries, and I'll actually take you through the process of how they source the beans and make the beans, and then you can sit down for coffee and a light lunch. They have plenty of different latte options, and then I had a bacon and egg and cheese sandwich, all super delicious. Then we went for a little bit of a drive around town before stopping in at Truth Cafe again. I'm nothing if not a creature of habit. We love Truth Cafe. The people and the food were just consistently amazing. Got another cappuccino, and this time we got lunch. We got the cheeseburger with sweet potato fries. The sweet potato fries were so good. And a chicken mayo sandwich with a side salad. Quick snack check-in, courtesy of Long Chips, which are chips that are long. The next morning, we went for a walk around the mall. Again, the Airbnb was gorgeous. Stopped in at Truth Cafe for a cappuccino. I need a cappuccino counter. Some flapjacks with Nutella and banana, as well as some breakfast potato hash, all super delicious. And then we went to town. For dinner, we tried Pomodoro pizza. Honestly, the best pizza, hands down. They're actually right next to Truth Cafe. We got a bacon and cheese, a bacon and pineapple, and then a chicken mayo pizza. Hands down, chicken mayo. Always get chicken mayo. It was so, so good. And sad to say it, our trip was coming to a close, so we spent some time just walking near the ocean. You can't see them, but there were actually whales swimming by, and every time I started filming, they ducked down and you couldn't see them anymore, but I promise they were there. So Walvis Bay actually has an airport. So we were gonna fly from Walvis Bay to Cape Town, spend the night before flying back to Atlanta and then home. So definitely sad and bittersweet to say goodbye to my family, but we had an absolutely incredible time. We flew Airlink from Namibia to South Africa. Everyone was super nice. The only thing I would warn is check your luggage weights. They were pretty strict about it because it was a smaller plane. The food was served in the cutest containers with native birds, and it was just like a light lunch. I don't even remember what it was, but I know there was like chicken polenta and like a pasta salad, as well as fudge made by a local company. And then we could see Table Mountain as we were flying in to Cape Town. Since our stay here was pretty short, we stayed at Hotel Verde, which is very close to the airport, and they also offer a shuttle to and from the airport, so it seemed like a pretty logical choice. This was the room. The room was actually really nice. Kind of weird to have your shower in your bedroom, but who cares? Bed was super comfortable. The staff here were incredible. We got a chicken sandwich and cheeseburger for dinner as room service, and a sticky toffee pudding, all super delicious. Highly recommend. Before we knew it, we were back up in the air, homebound for Los Angeles, which It was so short. Like, obviously, I like being home, but I feel like there's so much that we didn't get to explore, and obviously, love to spend more time with family. But yeah, that was our trip. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. We'll be traveling again very soon. So we'll see you guys later. Bye!